Despite the intention for Mega Man 03 to be the final installment in the Zero series, nearly everyone in production immediately realized another game was going to be put into works, and development on the true finale started up almost right after 03. This time, however, Inticreates weren't alone, as the game was now co-developed with the help of Natsume, another Japanese company, best known for their Harvest Moon and Rune Factory series. An odd choice for an action platformer, but I guess that given the large amount of art overhaul in this game compared to the previous Zero outings, that Natsume probably had some hand in that. But regardless, 04 came out in 2005, a year after number 3, just like with each previous installment. And with it, the Mega Man Zero series would come to a close with an actual finale, something no other Mega Man series has managed to do. As with my previous work, I'm going to go over the entirety of Mega Man 04's plot, so I can give it, and by extension the whole story effort, the attention it deserves. So once again, you don't want any spoiling? Skip to the time indicated here. Right, so if you remember from the end of Mega Man 03, Omega was killed thanks to the help of the Guardians, the Mother Elf was cured and now roams free, but Dr. Vile is still in charge of Neo Arcadia, so something has to be done about that. With Vile cracking down his authority in the human metropolis, people are fleeing in droves despite the risk of being hunted down by Vile's new variant corps. One such caravan is on its way to a talked-about human settlement named Area Zero, where nature is said to be returning to the land. The caravan is under pursuit by Vile's forces when Zero arrives to drive them off, who has been traveling in a trailer along with Ciel and other prominent resistance members as they cross the country and protect fleeing humans from seizure. As for where the Neo-Arcadian Guardians, Harpuia, Fefnir, and Leviathan are in this, well, originally it was simply stated that they were staying at the Resistance base to help them out, but later, according to the Mega Man Zero official complete works, it was revealed that they all died in Omega's explosion. Really? Seriously, Inticreates? Or Natsume? Is that the best you could come up with? Jeez, what a morbid waste of good and interesting characters! Anyway, Zero and Ciel talk to the caravan's leader, Neige, formerly a reporter in Neo Arcadia, who reveals that Area Zero was the impact site of the Eurasia colony all the way back from Mega Man X5, and is teeming with nature thanks to some environmental equipment left active from the space colony. Ciel offers to help the caravan protect Area Zero, but many of the humans object, wanting no more involvement with Reploids that they believe have been responsible for destroying their homes and planet. But Ciel and the others stick around anyway and are able to intercept one of Vile's units that are scouting the area, where Zero meets the 8 Einherjar warriors and their leader, Kraft, who have been tasked by Vile to destroy the nature of Area Zero in order to entice humans to stay in Neo Arcadia, a mission dubbed Ragnarok. Back at the Resistance trailer, Zero sets out to stop each of the lieutenants' individual plans from getting off. But halfway through his mission, Kraft himself attacks the settlement, and he and Zero face off. It's revealed that Kraft actually came to kidnap Neige, who he has a history with from Neo Arcadia. The settlement humans socially disown Neige at this reveal, thinking her connection with Kraft put them in danger, but Zero rightfully calls them out as cowards for trying to flee Neo Arcadia, but not even trying to rescue the person who helped them all escape. Before Zero sets off, the humans have a change of heart and ask Zero to rescue Neige, acknowledging that they don't have the power to challenge Vile themselves. Zero accepts and heads off to Neo Arcadia's prison camp, where he encounters Neige and Kraft, learning that the two once shared a romantic interest rooted in each other's bravery, Neige for always trying to expose the truth, and Kraft for fighting to protect the people. Neige asks if what Kraft is doing is really helping humanity, with Kraft surmising that working with Vile is the only way he can protect Neige, given that Ragnarok intends to destroy everything outside of Neo Arcadia. Then, Dr. Vile himself appears to taunt them, with Neige making one final cutting remark before blinding them with a flash grenade, allowing herself and Zero to escape. These actions finally mend the Reploid-human relationships in the colony, and Zero sets off to take out the rest of the Einherjar. Once finished, it seems as though Vile's plans have been foiled, but it's revealed that the Einherjar were only a distraction, and that Ragnarok actually refers to a giant space cannon Vile had been constructing to destroy all of Area Zero from. but before he can fire, the feed is interrupted by Kraft, who has seemingly had a change of heart and boarded Ragnarok to destroy its remote control system, stopping Vile from firing the cannon. However, Kraft now intends to use Ragnarok to destroy Vile, even though he is right in the center of Neo Arcadia, which still houses countless humans. Naturally, everyone is shocked at this plan, even Vile, and Zero transfers to Ragnarok to stop Kraft, while CL sends the rest of the Resistance still at their base to evacuate the city. Zero arrives too late, however, and Neo Arcadia, along with Dr. Vile, is destroyed by Ragnarok. Once in the control room, Kraft states he intends to fire again, and he and Zero duel, with Kraft ending up critically injured. In their final conversation, Kraft asks, with the treachery of both humans and Reploids in mind, how can he fight for any ideals but his own? Zero replies that he knew someone once who believed peace between Reploids and humans was possible, and that he trusts that friend enough to fight on, adding that, as combat Reploids, they don't have a place to change the world, only choosing to lend their strength to those who deserve it. Kraft realizes that he was fighting against the only person he ever trusted, and before he passes, asks Zero to leave his body on Ragnarok, as he cannot face Neige again. Zero returns to the trailer where he breaks the bad news to Neige and CL. Everything seems fine at last, but then Ragnarok fires again suddenly, and has now started on a collision course with Area Zero. Dumbfounded as to who could be controlling Ragnarok if Vile and Kraft are both dead, Zero and CL now need a way to get Zero to the station's protected core, with Neige supplying coordinates to a Neo-Arcadian teleporter base that can transfer him there, and CL devising a way for Zero to manually travel through the teleporter circuit to Ragnarok and disable its protection program from within. With those taken care of, Zero transfers to Ragnarok's core, where he finds out that Vile has not only survived Kraft's attack, but is the one who launched the station towards Area Zero, wanting to destroy all of humanity in revenge for banishing him from Neo Arcadia at the end of the Elf Wars. See, in supplementary material, namely this, Vile was banished at a time when the original X was still in command of Neo Arcadia. Dr. Vile is a human, and thus X would not kill him, so he instead transferred his brain into program data, placed it into an eternal self-repairing robot body, and then launched him and Omega into space, where they would spend the next 100 years or so before crashing down to Earth at the start of Mega Man 03. Anyway, Vile fuses himself with Ragnarok's core to combat Zero, but when defeated, his explosion rips apart the room they are in and speeds up Ragnarok significantly. Vile still hasn't died though, and Zero needs to stop the descent now or he won't be able to transfer back. Vile taunts Zero with the idea of becoming a maverick if he kills a human, and this time fuses with the rest of Ragnarok to challenge him. Zero gives his World of Cardboard speech to Vile, that human or Reploid, an enemy to him will be destroyed no matter what, and kills Vile, along with destroying Ragnarok's core, which blows apart the entire station, saving Area Zero from utter destruction. As Ragnarok breaks up, CL tries desperately to contact Zero, but is greeted only by static. The settlement humans and Resistance members mourn for the loss of Zero, just as humans and Reploids were reconciling. At the settlement, CL states that Zero is still out there somewhere, and will come back someday. Running to a nearby hilltop in tears, CL speaks to an absent Zero, saying that his faith in them won't be wasted, and that she is going to make sure the world he left behind will be a better one, now that peace has been restored. The view then cuts away to a faraway crater where Zero's ruined helmet is embedded in the ground. My thoughts towards the story of Mega Man 04 are somewhat mixed. On the one hand, it really is a proper finale to the Zero series, as it would have been really weird having no resolution with Dr. Vile at all, and the final moments of 04 really make the whole endeavor worth it. On the other hand, it comes with a lot of nagging problems, my biggest being the really unceremonious departure of the Guardians, who aren't even mentioned at all in the game, aside from one callback to Phantom by Einherjar warrior Tech Kraken. The Mother Elf is also surprisingly absent as well. There could have been some real potential here for an interesting story turn, but nothing is ever done. And she doesn't even appear or get mentioned at all in the sequel series as well. What the heck happened to her? Truth be told, Mega Man 04 just isn't as narratively compact as 03. All of the major players have already had their character arcs, so the bulk of the growth is between Kraft and Neige. So once that gets resolved, Dr. Vile's return can kind of feel like sloppy seconds. Though, then again, the actual final battle between them is really well done, and is a pretty awesome send-off to the both of them. In short, it's good, just not as good as Mega Man 03, and that goes for the gameplay as well. So, right off the bat, I don't want people to take what I just said the wrong way. Mega Man 04's gameplay is damn awesome, and the second best in the whole series by far. It just isn't as good as 03's. As for new changes, 04 has plenty of those, some good, some bad, but most just not implemented well. The most interesting addition in my opinion is the new Cyber Elf system. Instead of acquiring many elves throughout the game, you instead get one super prototype elf that can have one each of the nurse, animal, and hacker abilities active at once. By feeding it E-crystals, you can also unlock higher powers in each of the 3 traits, from 1 to 7, and usage of levels is structurally unlimited, save for one caveat. Your elf has a max level that starts at 0 but increases by 1 for each of the 8 Einherjar warriors you defeat, and if you raise your elf's level past the maximum, you lose points from your score equal to that difference. But like 01, there isn't really a point to high ranks anymore since EX skills are handled in an entirely new way, so raising your elf to its highest output has literally zero impact on unlocking main game content, aside from one minigame that just requires S ranks in every stage. As for EX skills, the way you obtain them now is linked to another new feature in 04, the weather system. Each main stage you travel to has 2 weather settings, one that makes it harder and one that makes it easier. Playing on the easier version will typically remove certain hazards, make certain areas easier to access, or otherwise limit enemy or boss actions. But you'll lose score and the ability to acquire the boss's EX skill, which is now obtained by simply beating the stage in the hard weather setting. And that isn't the only difficulty setting the game offers, as 04 actually has difficulty selects at the start screen. Yeah, you would unlock hard mode in the previous games after beating them once, but honestly, limiting your character's moveset is not real difficulty in my eyes. But here in 04, you have the option to start the game in easy mode. With this option enabled, you start with a level 5 elf and 2 sub-tanks, as well as non-instantly lethal spikes and lava, as well as bottomless pits that let you float out unharmed. However, E-crystals are entirely removed, meaning you won't be able to upgrade your elf, and weather settings are locked to the easy version, making EX skills unobtainable. Even without this though, it's pretty well agreed that each successive game in the Zero series is a bit easier than the last, and 04 is no exception, in my eyes being the least difficult of all the Zero games, but still above most of the X and Classic series and Challenge, don't take that the wrong way. As for whatever new weapons you get, the answer is 1, but also tons. You don't get a rod weapon this time, and the shield boomerang was removed. Instead, you now have the all-powerful Zero Knuckle, a short-range unarmed attack that will steal an enemy's weapon if it deals the finishing blow, or will acquire one from the stage in some circumstances. On its own, the Zero Knuckle is unremarkable. It attacks in multiple directions like previous third weapons, but it's pretty weak and has a very short range, with its only base purpose being to hang from grips or interact with some level props. No, the weapons you can take from the stage or enemies are the real deal for the Zero Knuckle, some of which are riffs on the shield boomerang or past rod weapons, but most are basically just worse versions of the Buster or Saber. However, a few are really useful, most notably the Mega Axe, which you can get from the Axeloid enemy. It's single-handedly the best weapon in the entire series. Jeez, it's just as powerful as a charged Z-Saber Slash and attacks much faster. This thing is goddamn broken. The last major change is part of a carryover from 03, the chip system. Instead of finding chip upgrades in the field or from bosses a la 03, you instead acquire parts that represent each enemy as random drops from them. By combining certain parts with Servo, you can craft yourself a whole variety of upgrades, except for elemental chips, which are gone entirely. So if you want to use fire, ice, or electric attacks, you either need an EX skill that has that associated element, or a Zero Knuckle weapon that has that element. But really, I only use the chip crafting for the double jump, quick charge, and rolling upgrades, and that's probably all you'll need too. And that right there is a good example of my general issues with Mega Man 04. A lot of the new stuff they added or changed was just kinda white noise. Like I said, there's really no reason to use anything but quick charge and double jump for your head and foot chips. But at least body chips have some debatable worth. The rolling chip, the absorber chip, and the make spikes non-lethal chip are all pretty equal in usefulness. more or less depends on how you want to play. The weather system seems like a neat idea, but whatever changes they make are often just not notable enough to affect difficulty much, so there's really no point to not doing the harder version just so you can get the EX skill. And the decision to lock the weathers in easy mode so you can't get the EX skills, as well as making it impossible to further upgrade your health, just make it a limiting experience with the potential to drive off those who might otherwise find the normal difficulty too much. And having access to tons of possible weapons with the Zero Knuckles sounds cool, but only like 2 or 3 are really worth using over the Buster and Saber. It is cool, however, to be able to use a piece of pipe, just like Crazy Zero did in the Mega Man X4 flashback scene. Still though, the recoil rod was way more fun and useful than most of what the Zero Knuckle offers, and I really wish it was in this game. The new Super Elf is probably the best new addition, basically being an expansion of Zero 3's Satellite Elves, but it's undercut given overuse isn't an issue anymore since EX skills aren't rank-based. However, I'm pretty sure many prefer the way this game handles Elves and EX skills compared to 0, 2, and 3. And I kind of agree. I just wish that there was some sort of penalty for overusing your elf, like, I don't know, maybe your health slowly depletes but maybe stays at one point. You know, something like that. Man, this is sounding so much more negative than I originally intended. Truth be told, Mega Man 04 really is an awesome game with lots of legitimately awesome stuff in it. The stages are perhaps the most unique and original in style and background. And really, the whole art department is just really great. The enemy designs, the characters, the portraits, they're all super great. I wonder if Natsume had anything to do with that. However, the actual stage design is not quite as solid as 03's. But what is nice is that each stage has its own distinct thing about it, such as the linear cannon and heat Genblum's level, or the wind constantly pushing you back in Pegasolta at Claire's level. It at least stops all of the individual stages from being repetitive, so I can value that. I just think that the actual gameplay within the stages was just not quite as tight and refined as 03's. But after going through all 4 games in sequence, I will say at last that 04, in my opinion, has the best overall soundtrack in the series. And as a nice little bonus, simply just related to sound, there's a lot more voice bites in 04. It's pretty much just restricted to bosses, but hearing them along with Zero just giving a little shout with each charge attack are just the sort of nice little audio touches that really enhance the gaming experience. It's actually something I've talked about before in regards to the often underrated Metroid Fusion. You know, how like the super missiles in that game shook the screen and gave you definite audible cues? It's the little things like that that you often overlook that really help make a game feel great. And it really works well in this game, just with the individual sound bites. I also really gotta say that even though it isn't much in the game itself, Chikao Ōtsuka did awesome work as Dr. Vile. Bless his heart. So that there is Mega Man 04. Is it a worthy follow-up to the masterpiece Mega Man 03 was? Tentatively, I'll go with yes. The gameplay is great, the story wraps things up somewhat well, and the music and sound are the best in the series. But is it kind of a letdown? Yes, I'd say. Let me remind everyone again, Mega Man 04 is an awesome game, but after 2 huge improvements in quality in a row with 0, 2, and 3, number 4 just kind of peters out and tumbles into a puddle. And that's what I'd call disappointing. Regardless of all that though, if you're brand new to the Zero series and don't care for wanting to know the story, you may want to start here. Even without easy mode, 04 is the most forgiving in the series, but I would also recommend maybe 02 as well, simply in case you get too attached to the no penalty elf use and upgrade chips, which might turn you off 1 and 2. In the end, Mega Man 04 still did what no other Mega Man game has done, bring its series to an end, and this is one hell of an end. Oh, but the Mega Man Zero series didn't actually quite stop there. In June of 2010, Capcom bundled all 4 of the Zero games into a single DS cart and released it worldwide as Mega Man Zero Collection. It's exactly what it sounds like, a compilation of all 4 Zero games on one pack, with a few customary extras made possible by the Nintendo DS. While the gameplay, graphics, and performance have all stayed the same for the most part, except in some European releases, sorry guys, sound received a slight upgrade in quality due to the DS's better sound chip. Mega Man 04 also features the Japanese version of the end credits theme, featuring CL's VA Ria Tanaka singing the theme to the game, which is a welcome addition. And just for reference sake, the music I've been using in these videos has been the collection version, so keep that in mind. One sort of new gameplay change, however, is the ability to map the X and Y buttons to any of the standard movement or attack buttons, allowing for some more creative control schemes if you so desire. There's also an unlockable art gallery made up with official art that is shown at various points on the DS's bottom screen. But out of all the games, Mega Man 03 receives the biggest bonus as an addition from its Japanese release. See, in Japan, the GBA had a peripheral called the card reader system. You'd buy packs of cards and scan them through a reader you'd mount on the GBA, which would unlock bonus content for some games. Mega Man 03 featured this peripheral, and by completing each of the 4 games, as well as the new scenario I'll talk about later on the cart, you'll unlock the use of the cards and their effects, which are all mostly cosmetic, but some affect gameplay by, say, adding characters to the resistance base that give you lots of E-crystals, or increasing the damage of your weapons. And lastly, as I stated earlier, a whole new scenario was added to the game. Simply put, the easy scenario, where you play all 4 games in sequence using a single save file and playing in each game's native ultimate mode, with instant death traps weakened and death pits made to float out of. For such a great amount of content, the Mega Man Zero collection is a very sweet deal. It's also probably easier to get than all 4 Game Boy Advance carts, or cheaper than downloading them on the Wii U's Virtual Console, if and when all of them are released, that is. It's my preferred way to play the Zero games, but it's no remake, just a port, so don't expect something massively different. That's probably for the best though. Well, with that out of the way, the Mega Man Zero series is finally totally done. I did want to talk further about the Mega Man Zero official complete works, but until Udon refreshes their stock, I'm gonna have to find someone selling it at a non-ludicrous price. Seriously, I found one on Amazon that was going for $1,000 before shipping. $1,000! Its MSRP is 35 bloody bucks. But there is one extra bit you may want to check out. The Rockman Zero Remastered Tracks, a series of CD quality remixes of all of the OSTs from each Zero game, each of which is an awesome remix done in-house at Inticreates and is right up there with Metroid Metal and Project Chaos and awesome redone versions of great video game music. In the end, the Zero series may just have been a short but sweet spin-off, but it's done with more heart and energy than most totally original projects made by seasoned teams that have gobs of employees. Inticreates started work on the successor to one of the most well-known and beloved franchises with basically 2.25 games under their belt, and the growth of their series pretty accurately mirrors the growth of Inticreates into a major development company worth more than most old dog vanguards of the industry. So, with this monumental series out of the way, the next episode will be a bit lighter as I talk about another adaptation series Inticreates has been involved with, the Crayon Shinchan series.
Washing up!